This is ReactOS. Looks familiar? This is not Linux with a Windows skin. It's a complete Windows-compatible operating system that not only looks like Windows, but is capable of using Windows drivers and only runs software that has been compiled for Windows. The project started in 1998, and I've tested versions from the early 2000s which were working but not very usable. How about today? Could this be the savior of your old PC that is incapable of running any modern Windows OS? Let's find out.
It's the anarchy with me on the exciting guide!
Of course, I'm going to install on hardware. And I've got just the machine for that. This old Pentium 4 PC I picked up a while ago still needs a hard drive though. I was planning to add this 160GB IDE drive to this machine, which seems time appropriate for it. I'm pretty sure there has been a SATA drive in here, however. Oh look, it even says so on the sticker. There's only one IDE port on the motherboard, which is already in use by the optical drive. I can add the hard drive on the same cable, but I'll have to move it up here. Only issue with that is that I would need to remove the CPU cooler and RAM if I were to slide it in from this side. I'd rather keep that in place for now. The other issue is that the optical drive is set to master, and I prefer my hard drive to be the master here. I can't really get to the jumper with my big fat hands though, so I'll take this drive out, but hey, the front panel is in my way. Luckily, that comes off quite easy on this case. Remove the screws holding the drive in and slide it out. For those that have never worked with IDE before, and I know at least one of my viewers was born when IDE was already considered an obsolete technology, you can connect two devices to an IDE flat cable, but one of them must be set to master and one to slave for this to work. This was done with jumpers, small connectors with a plastic shell that short two pins on a logic board. On the back of this optical drive we can see it's set to master. I'll take the jumper out and simply put it on the slave pins. There's also cable select, but remember plug and pray? Please don't. We can do the same on the hard drive by the way, but I'd like my hard drive to be set to master. Right, put the optical drive back in place and slide the hard drive in. Next, I'll connect the IDE cable on both drives. Know that you can't really do this wrong because there's a notch on the connector that goes into the cutout on the drive. So you can't really turn it around unless you're using excessive force. Yeah, I've seen people do that. In the rare exception you encounter a cable that doesn't have the notch on the connector, you can just look at the red wire on the cable. This marks pin number 1, which is also marked on the drive. Anyway, stuff's connected, let's install. I went to reactos.org and didn't click on the big download button because version 0.4.14 is already some 3 years old at this point. Instead, I went to the nightly builds and downloaded the latest boot CD. Burned it at a lower speed just to be sure. Here's my disk, let's see what happens. People with back problems might recognize this installer, since it resembles the old NT-style one. Can we get a better resolution? Let's just do 1024 by 768. Just delete what's on this disk and create a new partition. Well, that's an interesting choice of file systems. Let's just do FAT for now. There it goes! Less than a minute. Cool. Alright, first boot. The saga setup continues. Just like the real thing. I don't care about a password for this test. Set the time zone. We can choose a theme. I'll stick with the default for now. I'll keep the network settings as presented. Install the WineGecko package. Yeah, go ahead. Cool, this proves our network connection works as well. Restart again! You see, it's just like the real thing. Oh yes, install this driver automatically. Of course it failed. As I said, it's just like the real thing. Yep, that one failed as well. So what do we have now? It sure looks like an early 2000s Windows desktop. We've got a start menu with some default applications. If you're here for games, you're in luck. To see me fail at solitaire like the noob I am. There's a remote desktop client here as well. I don't have any Windows machine around me, so I can test it. But if it works, that means you could surely use this for a thin client system. Anyway, let's have a look at the Applications Manager, which simply seems to be a curated list of drivers and software. There's quite some cool software in here that I guess should just work. There's also some drivers in here. Let's install the NVIDIA display driver and see if we can get this thing to full 1080p. Well, there you go. This looks just fine. Audio would be nice. Can we install that as well? I think we need this one. Well, it's just standing here minimized and doing nothing. That kinda sucks. I left it running for quite a while, but nothing's happening. Maybe I can just find some drivers for this one myself. Just like in Windows, you can look up the vendor and device IDs from the device manager. Vent10EC dev0880. Let's Google that. Maybe not in this browser. I searched this on another system and just picked the first one that came up. Hey, there's a chill ex-IT guy on this site, not affiliated by the way. Copied the driver to a stick, plugged it into my cool ReactOS machine, and tried to install the driver. Oh, I guess it doesn't like this one. I figured I'd try to copy over the driver that was downloaded by the application manager to a Linux machine so I could simply extract that with InnoExtract. Network Placer seems a bit empty though, and even just typing in the IP address of my server doesn't show anything, so I guess there's no SMB support? I'm not sure. Maybe I can copy it over through SCP. There doesn't seem to be an SCP or SFTP client in the application manager though, so I figured I'd just try to download WinSCP. Maybe not in this browser. Let's install Firefox ESR. Cool, that worked. Oh, okay, no SMB, no SCP. I eventually copied it over with a USB stick, but the installer couldn't be extracted with InnoExtract, so I'm not sure how to proceed from here. Guess that means no sound for now. Alright, what's the browser experience? My shiny website loads fine and even shows a YouTube video on it. Video performance is actually better than I expected on this ancient machine. The game runs well, but it's a bit slow. I've put binaries up on GitHub. I wonder if these work. This just keeps spinning. Well, I guess we won't be downloading them today. Let's try some other games. I downloaded LZ Doom and Assault Cube from the Applications Manager. Yeah, see if OpenGL works. Oh, I guess that wasn't a great idea. How about the software renderer? Okay. Well, I don't expect much from Assault Cube, but let's try. I don't believe this FPS counter. FPM, maybe? How about another graphics card? Here's the GT930 from the €25 PC. I think that one should work with the same drivers. Well, Assault Cube's menu is now a lot more responsive. 2 FPS. Cool, totally playable. Oh, it dropped to 1, damn it. Freedom? No OpenGL. Software rendering it is. Wait, what? Is this EGA? Well, it runs pretty smooth, but wow. Tux Racer wasn't much fun either. I guess that's all I have for you today. What do you think about ReactOS? I believe it doesn't have much use at this point, and yes, it's still alpha software, but after a few decades I would have expected a bit more progress. Anyway, I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please consider subscribing for more. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time.